Hello and welcome to the Monster Pod. Matt, Brown and Noops Christensen here for you in an interesting week. News coming through as we get recording this. Some good, some bad, some in between. So we'll let you know what we think about all of that as we head into the second half of the season. And so we, at this point, Noops, we come in with priors, and now is about the point where you kind of have to move off of your priors because the sample size of the NFL is very small and we've got about half of it already. So with that, you kind of got to take what you have and determine what these teams are and move on from there.
Yeah, you make a really good point. It's what makes handicapping the NFL so tough. There is such a small sample size, not only of games, but games with the same players, the same teams, with the same sort of alignment and everything. So I have pretty much turned all my priors off at this point. The last couple of weeks, I turned them down real slow. But this week, I think you're right, is the first week where we've got 8 solid weeks under our belt. Let's look at those 8 weeks and use those to inform our decisions.
Let's kick off week 9 here. Chicago Bears on the road at the Cincinnati Bengals. This is currently 2.5 in favor of Chicago. 51.5 is our total. Talking about that news coming through as we get ready to record this. Joe Flacco is going to go for the Cincinnati Bengals. So if you bet them at the 3 that was available earlier in the week, good on you. It seems like those 3s are now erased, that Flacco is officially going to go for Cincinnati. And again, one of several totals this week that are 50 and above, News.
It should be a great week for scoring, like you hinted at. I think this is the most totals we've had that start with a 5 or in the 50s or above, if you will, all season. And this game particularly, I think, is absolutely a shootout, an easy candidate for the highest scoring game. The Bengals, by DVOA, have the worst defense in the NFL. The Bears, 9th worst. And I was really impressed to go back and look at this. You know, you can filter DVOA on weeks. And since Joe Flacco took over starting for the Cincinnati Bengals, they have the 3rd best offense in the league. And you can see it in the results. I mean, it's something we sort of joked about. How long do you need to learn the playbook when the goal is just to throw high lofted balls basically up to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase? And it really has worked. As far as the side goes, I agree. Hopefully you grab yourself some Bengals early in the week, because I just don't know how you trust this Bears team. I mean, it's just they beat up on bad teams. There's a lot of close wins there. They really struggle. It's all over the place. So I probably should just bet the Bengals money line, but instead I'm going to take their team total over at 24.5. Again, 3rd best offense since Joe Flacco joined the team. This Bears defense absolutely stinks, especially against the pass. I think you could see the Bengals score as many as 28, even 30 points in this game. So feel free to ladder up if you want above that. But honestly, anything 26.5 or lower is a great play. Give me a Bengals team total over.
Yeah, it is for me. As soon as this news broke, I jumped on a 50.5 on the over. And I think that's the last time we're going to see anything under 51 here for this one with Flacco out there. You talk about the Bears defense. Well, we should talk about Cincinnati's as well. If the last 4 weeks of this NFL season, EPA per play last, success rate last, EPA per drive last, early down EPA last, early down success rate last, pass EPA allowed last, pass success rate allowed last, explosive pass percentage last. So again, Cincinnati's defense bringing absolutely nothing to the table. It doesn't look like Trey Hendrickson's going to go in this one either. So yeah, give me scoring, give me points, give it all to me here. So if you're watching this and there's still a flat 51, obviously there's really no difference in the bet that I made and you made, other than the push equity goes up. And so if there's still a flat 51, I took the over 50.5. We're basically making the same bet with just a little bit of push equity added that 51. So yeah, I like the over here. I think points for days. We might, like you said, in those markets where you can bet highest scoring game of the week. I know it won't be a fat number next to this one, but man, it just has scoring written all over it.
It should just be a ton of points. This is a great one if you like to do touchdown parlays, things like that for fun. This is the game to look at it, because again, there's going to be points all over the place, and it could come from really anywhere. There is not really one single thing that either of these defenses does real well. So I agree. Bet overs, alt overs. This game should be a lot of fun.
And we're getting stuff going on here. Some more news on quarterbacks that we'll talk about here in just a second as well. What we don't have right now, San Francisco 49ers and the New York Giants, is who's going to be playing quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. It looks like Mac Jones, but Purdy was out there limited all week, so we shall see. This is currently sitting 2.5 in favor of the 49ers on the road against the Giants. 48.5 is the total here in this one. Noops, a decent little injury report for the Giants as well. Going to be missing some of their defensive guys. So it's just a very, very interesting game when you look at, I think some people would be shocked that it's under a field goal for the 49ers against the Giants at this point in the season. But that also says a lot about the state of the injury situation on the 49ers side too.
It does. This game is a mess on both sides of the ball. It's hard, though, not to feel more confident in the 49ers simply because, we've seen them all season deal with a lot of these injuries here, and we've seen them have a lot of success. Again, I sort of joke every week that I think Kyle Shanahan kind of enjoys the challenge of coming in every week to a new group of guys, a new set of strategies that have to come forward. And the Giants, just a really tough season for them. Not that they're a bad team, but they're having one of the worst seasons, I think, of any team, just in terms of dealing with injuries, losing Malik Neighbors, then Cam Scatterbo. And again, I don't know if any producers of any big NFL shows are watching this. Can we not show replays when somebody's foot is sideways? That was just gruesome last week. So I got to feel bad for this Giants team. Even if they do get a good injury report, the offense is just decimated at the skill position. So as good as Jackson Dart is, I'm just not sure how they can get enough points on the board here to beat this 49ers team that's had a pretty decent offense. And not to say that Brock Purdy is worse than Mac Jones. I would just feel better if I knew Mac Jones was the starter. I think that possible change, there's always a lot of things sort of built around that. If I'm the 49ers, I'm on the road. Let's get Brock Purdy one more week. If Mac Jones is in there and that seems like we're just going to sort of sustain that, I'll probably grab myself some 49ers minus 2.5 if that's still available. So lean towards San Francisco, but I just don't like the idea of the change.
I'm about to throw it in the account currently. Giants injury report comes through. Cordell Flott, starting corner, concussion, did not clear protocol. He is out. Starting corner, Paulson Adebo, and Art Green, cornerback, both not practicing for a third day in a row. It's going to be all backups in the secondary for this Giants team. And I understand, I get it. You're not going to have Pearsall and you don't have Ayuk, but if it wasn't a good secondary to begin with. So think how bad the backups have to be for this Giants team, right? So I think I'm going to throw some 2.5 literally live as we're talking about this game.
Yeah, it looks like some juice coming in on that. Our friends over at FanDuel, I'm looking at 2.5 minus 15 right now. So yeah, get on this pretty quickly. I think I'm going to join you while we're sitting here typing because you're right. If the Giants are going to have even more injuries on the defense, the 49ers don't have to do much to win this game and win it comfortably. So 49ers minus 2.5. Pause for a second while Matt and I bet it.
Yeah, look at that. We're going to, riveting. I know this is riveting on a podcast, or if you're watching on the video that we're, sitting here, but hey, listen, it proves to you guys that we actually bet. This is no fugazi that we got going on here with
that's right.
With all of this. The Atlanta Falcons are on the road at the New England Patriots. This is 5.5 in favor of the Patriots. 45 is our total. Atlanta, no official word whether it's going to be Penix or Cousins yet. Penix, obviously they want Penix out there something fierce because Kirk Cousins looked like dust last week. One of the worst quarterbacking performances of the entire season, maybe of the last couple seasons. What we saw last week from Kirk Cousins. Hey, buddy, sit back on the sideline, collect that check. I don't want to see you play professional football anymore. That was absolutely atrocious. And on the other hand, you get this New England team, Noops, that just keeps on rolling. Drake May in the second year looks like one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. Seems like the arrow is just pointing straight up for this Patriots team.
It really does, and it's just a situation. I am just furious with this Falcons team. Last week is just embarrassing. Kirk Cousins couldn't even hand the ball off to Bijan Robinson the right way, and that's against that Dolphins team. That's really all you should have had to do, and I know the Falcons defense really let them down. As bad as Cousins was, the defense was awful. The Dolphins being able to get big plays, push the ball down the field with really just Jalen Waddle out there. There's not much talent on that Dolphins roster at this point. I guess A-Chain as well. He's very good, but outside of those two guys, it's a mess. So this Atlanta team, also having some bigger problems. It's not just at the quarterback spot. Kyle Pitts, questionable. Drake London, questionable. Jake Matthews, their starting left tackle, all questionable. Those are three of the most important pieces on that offense, obviously, besides the quarterback there. So, what do you do from that standpoint? And you look at the Atlanta defense, it's been a top 3 to 5 defense all year. They've got about half of their starters listed questionable here. Mm-hmm. So it's just a really bad spot. And as much as I think the Patriots are a little overrated, they just have, you have to beat the teams in front of you. I'm not necessarily thrilled by the teams that the Patriots beat. This is just not a spot for me to fade New England. I definitely can't do it with the Falcons. So it should be a good spot for New England. Put them in money line parlays. I was leaning towards maybe a Falcons team total under, especially with all these injuries on the offense, but I don't see how you could possibly back Atlanta here.
Yeah, it's Patriots or pass for me. I don't know if I can quite get there. I think if I was going to play it, I'd probably just play alts and assume that the Falcons no-show again and that the Patriots just beat the hell out of them. So it's kind of like, if I'm playing it, I might play like 7.5, 8.5, 9.5, and like play for like a double-digit win by the Patriots as opposed to just that 5.5, which is no man's land anyway. So I think maybe if I get around to that one, that's how I'll do it. And if we see a performance like we saw from the Falcons last week, this Patriots team will beat them by double digits. I mean, like if the Falcons show up and put that effort out on the field again this week, this Patriots team has the capability to beat them by double digits. So might be how I handle that one there. Noops. Indianapolis Colts on the road at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are full field goal favorites, although that could be heading to 3.5 at several books, as we are juiced at just about everywhere across the country right now. 50.5 is our total, yet another one of those 50 totals. I'm sure you saw the little stat come out from Aaron Schatz that this Indianapolis offense is 4th all-time DVOA through the first 8 weeks of the season, just to let you know how incredibly efficient they have been through the first half of the season. They're going on the road against a defense that is not very good, Noops, so they can prove it yet again this week.
This is a huge, huge game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are suddenly starting to collapse in on themselves. I mean, lose to Cincinnati on the road, lose that game to Green Bay as they go into half with the lead there. They've got the Colts this week, then they go to Los Angeles to play the Chargers, host the Bengals again at Chicago. That's a little easier, but then Baltimore, Miami, that's a little bit easier. Detroit, they got Baltimore twice left still. This is a real mess. I mean, if they lose this game, they're at 4-4 and will be favored in less than half of their games the rest of the way. I mean, this Colts team, it's just unbelievable. And for me, it's just as simple. You go ahead and look at how many points they score every week. 33, 29, 41, 20, 40, 31, 38, 38. I mean, I can't remember an offense since the Patriots that scored that many points that consistently. It's just absolutely unbelievable to watch. And I'm just going to keep taking advantage of the fact that a book seemed to be a little bit stuck on these Colts team totals. They just can't bring themselves to put this at 30.5 and kind of the numbers that I think it should be. I'm seeing a Colts team total over a little juicy at 26.5. Cheaper 27.5. It's all good. I'm going to play both of those numbers. Again, maybe try to find some alts. I have already bet Colts -3, but given the way the market's moving, by the time you hear this, it'll probably be 3.5. If you're looking at -3, -120, that's a bet. If you're looking at -3.5, say, right around even money, that's probably still a bet. Or again, maybe even look at some alts. I just think this is a spot where Indianapolis is in great shape. They're playing really well, and there's just nothing to me that leads me to think that the Pittsburgh Steelers could do anything to slow them down. I think we see kind of the end of the Steelers season this week.
I'm with you. I laid the 3. I'm in a Circa market. Circa is the only flat 110 that's out there as we record this. If you're in a Circa market, I would check them to see they don't move the lines as quickly as some of the other places, and so maybe you can still get the flat one. But I think there's this kind of, Noops, you and I have been are of the age where you think the Steelers and you think good defense. Like, it's just like the way that our brains are wired and programmed. That's not this Steelers defense. This ain't your dad's Steelers. This isn't even our generation Steelers defense. And especially over the last month or so of the season, they've really fallen off of a cliff from a defensive perspective. And great. In rolls the most efficient offense we've seen in the NFL all season long, and one of the most historically efficient offenses that we have seen in the history of football. So I think the Colts go out there and make a point in this one. I think they prove it to people that they are for real. And I think, like you said, this could be the beginning of the end for this Steelers team. So I did lay it with the Colts. I love it a ton. Also, just we don't talk a lot of fantasy here, but if you're DFS players out there, like Jonathan Taylor has multiple games of 3 touchdowns. He's going to be in everybody's lineup this week. If you want to differentiate, maybe you zig where other people are zagging. Play like Daniel Jones paired up with Pittman, or play Daniel Jones paired up with Warren, or both, or something like that, and just pray that Jonathan Taylor doesn't find the end zone. Now, look, he is very likely to find the end zone, and like, it is what it is. But it's one of those things. You're in these large field tournaments, you got to differentiate yourself, and if you can be on a high scoring game, but just be on the other part of it, the other people and all are on the other side of it, then that can be some huge leverage in those tournaments.
That's great advice. And I would even look a little further. You could do something like Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's going to score, but for him to be really useful, he's going to have to score 2 or 3 times. So even if he does score once, but you get, say, a rush touchdown from Daniel Jones and 2 passing touchdowns, you're way ahead of everybody else.
Carolina Panthers on the road at the Green Bay Packers. This is 13.5 in favor of the Packers. 44, actually you can find everywhere from 43.5 all the way to 44.5 out there totals as we record this. Noops, this is going to be a popular survivor play this week for people who have the Packers and maybe have already used the Rams or used some of these other teams. I'm not going to talk you off of it. That said, we said we were getting these updates. My phone keeps flashing. Bryce Young is good to go, so it will not be Andy Dalton out there. So that's at least a little bit of a bump for Carolina, as Bryce Young has been about average. I mean, he hadn't been good, but he hadn't been bad. He's just been about league average this year, which is certainly a step up from what we saw from Andy Dalton last week. So again, not really my style of games to bet, these kind of 2 touchdown favorite type of games and whatnot. But I am looking for 60 minutes of game from the Pack. I am looking for that, because this team continually finds its way in everybody's top 5 power ratings. But I mean, I need to remind people, they were losing heading into the fourth quarter last week, and then they scored 21 points in the fourth quarter, and the scoreboard is a little bit deceiving as to how that game went. I mean, I need to see a 60-minute effort from this Packers squad. So I'll still be paying attention to this one, even if I don't have a bet.
It is really important for Green Bay. You've got a Panthers offense that has been great at home, really bad on the road. I think they're going to struggle here in Green Bay, especially in the cold. Bryce Young is back. That helps quite a bit. But I love kind of what you said there. Is this the week we finally see the Packers really beat up on somebody? They've only won 1 game this year by 2 touchdowns. That was in week 1. They beat the Lions by 4, only beat the Commanders by 9, lose to the Browns, tie with the Cowboys, only beat the Bengals by 9, the Cardinals only by 4. And like you said last week, yes, they won that game by 10 points, but that was on the back of a pretty miraculous comeback from them. So this should be a spot where the Green Bay Packers just wallop this Panthers team. They are better than the Panthers in just about every way possible. So I think you look at the Packers, definitely use them in Survivor if you haven't already. This is the last game of the season where we're going to see the Packers more than touchdown favorites. They do play the Minnesota Vikings twice, once at home, so maybe they'll be solid favorites in Week 12. We'll see how the lines move then. And the last spot is at Minnesota in the last week. The Packers might not need this game, so I think the Rams are a good choice. We'll talk about that more in a little bit, but if you haven't used the Packers, get them in some of your Survivor pools, because you're not going to want to use them again. As to the game, I do lean towards Packers minus 13.5, but as we've said already here, it's just so hard to trust this team to play 4 good quarters, and to cover 13.5, you need 4 good quarters of football.
Minnesota Vikings on the road at the Detroit Lions. This is out to as much as 9.5 out there in the market, 8.5 at most joints, 48.5 is our total. I have the Lions number 2 in my power ratings. They are only behind the Chiefs. I think this Lions team is pretty much a wagon right now. And so I think this line is pretty fair as Minnesota moves back to J.J. McCarthy. I don't know, Noops, what you think of McCarthy, but in the very small sample size that we've seen him out there, I've not been all that impressed. And now it's coming back off injury on the road against, like what I said, I have as the second best team in the NFL. I think this line is justified in the whole no one cares what you got thing. This was 7.5 at one point. I have a 7.5 in my account with Detroit. I mean, the 8.5 is fine, though. I know eight's a little bit more of a key number now with everyone doing the analytics and the 2-point conversions and all the stuff than it used to be. And 8 and 6s are like showing up much more than they used to with all of that. But I would still only lay it here. I'm not taking the points with Minnesota because I need to see it with my own eyes with McCarthy first. And again, it was a high ankle sprain. He wasn't like out there on the field working on stuff all this time. Like the way you heal a high ankle sprain is keeping that thing elevated and iced and off of it. Like that's how, he wasn't out there working on stuff and everything. So I don't know. I'm going to have to see it with my own eyeballs. And until then, I will continue betting this Detroit team to go out there and roll some teams.
Yeah, for me, it's the Lions. I'm going to lay the points. I already played -8.5. If you're listening to this right now, it's 9.5. That's fine. Anything that's single digits here looks great for me for a team that has a great offense and the best defense by DVOA. I was shocked to see that. I know the defense has been good, but I didn't realize that they would be right at the top of the list there for defensive DVOA. From a schedule standpoint, the Vikings, this is their second consecutive road game, whereas the Lions are coming off a bye. Dan Campbell has been absolutely the nuts coming off a bye with this team. He's great any week ever. I mean, honestly, Matt, we'd be rich beyond our wildest dreams if we just closed our eyes and max bet the Lions every single week. It's just incredible. And I think this is a great spot. I don't know why this isn't double digits. I think this Minnesota team is cooked. I know they're getting a couple guys back on defense, Van Ginkel and a few other folks, but I just don't think it's enough. And at the very least, this Lions defense can generate points, honestly, on their own with the way that the Vikings have turned the ball over, regardless of who's a quarterback. So I like the Lions. I'm laying the points.
Yeah, I think this is certainly a huge statement win. If you're watching this and there are still 8.5s available, obviously a fantastic teaser leg as well. If we think that they can win at margin by 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10 points, then obviously we're okay with the teaser leg as well. So great teaser leg in my opinion there too. Denver Broncos on the road at the Houston Texans. This is 1.5, 2 in favor of Houston at home over Denver. Very low, 40.5 total in this one. So injury situations pretty good on the Houston side. Nico Collins and Christian Kirk going to be back in the offense for Houston. Be the first time that they've really actually played together. This is what they wanted to be their 1 and 2 Noops to enter the season, but then Kirk got hurt early on, and the concussion here and the hamstring with Kirk and all of that. And so maybe we finally see what this offense could be capable of against a defense that, while still awesome and is still going to be good, is down their all-world corner in Patrick Surtain, at least for the next month, because there'll be 3 weeks and then a bye week for them there with that one. So I still expect Denver's defense to be good. I'm curious what you think without Surtain, because it does change the philosophy, right? Like, it's pretty easy when you go in and you go, okay, he's going to eliminate that guy who is their number one option. And so all you other 10 guys just go out there and take out all the secondary options. Like, it's a pretty awesome weapon to have in your back pocket.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where long-term it's really going to hurt the Broncos because it forces them to have to change their entire style of defense. It's not just that they lose an incredible cornerback. Their defense is based on him just following around the best receiver the whole game. The other 10 guys are going to have to learn how to play differently, and they're bringing an 11th guy, obviously. They're going to have to find a new way to play defense. Now, in the first game, there's a little bit less tape, so maybe that makes things a little bit easier for them because the Houston Texans will be a little less sure of what that Broncos defense is going to look like without Surtain. But with each passing week without him, it's just going to get easier and easier for the Broncos. I think this is the hardest game to handicap of the week because these are two teams that at certain moments have looked great and at certain moments looked absolutely putrid. I mean, CJ Stroud, if he plays like he did last week, the Texans are going to win every game for the rest of the season. If he plays like he did for the first 7 weeks of the season, I have no idea what to expect. At the same time, Bo Nix, as you have loved to point out, has been at the bottom of just about every advanced metric for quarterback play all season until the last couple of weeks when he's playing kind of, dog crap defenses. So now he goes up against one of the best defenses in the league. I lean towards an under here. I think this game could be kind of ugly, but it's so low at 40.5. So maybe the Texans, maybe an under. I definitely won't be watching this game. I think it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I think this is going to come down to just how much that kind of shoddy Texans offensive line can hold up. And if they can give Stroud enough time on enough plays, then I think that they can have some success. One of the other things I say that we're going to maybe see what this Houston Texans offense looks like with how they wanted it constructed in the first place. Also, they've kind of made the switch to Woody Marks. It's not a full-time gig, but he's now out touching Chubb and all of that, which he's obviously the better player at this point in his career, obviously the more explosive player in his career. So now you kind of get this Houston offense at full steam. I don't know if that means anything because the offensive line is so bad. Even with Marks at running back and having both Kirk and Collins out there, I still don't know for sure if that's going to equal points or at least it looking a little bit better because of the offensive line play. And that's, like you said, it is a fascinating, very tough handicap because there are certainly paths to Denver completely shutting down Houston. And then there are definitely paths where without Surtain out there and having the playmakers back for Houston, that if the offensive line can hold up at least a little bit, then I can see them having a ton of success against Denver because, by the way, Houston's defense is no slouch either. So it's a pretty fascinating game. And it's crazy to say that with a 40 total game.
Absolutely. It's exactly. That's why I'm afraid of this total. I could still see a few touchdowns, a few long plays as up and down as both these offenses are. They try to push the ball down the field, and they are capable of making big plays. Cortland Sutton is probably the most underrated receiver in the league at this point, and Nico Collins and the Texans still have a lot of speed. So it's just a mess of a game.
Yeah, for not what I would put for a normal stake, I did do kind of like a little half stake deal over on Nico Collins. The books open this at 60.5 receiving yards, which I think the algorithm was plugging in Denver's defense versus Houston's offense, which again, that's how you have to like kind of come up with a number anyway and generate stuff. But like I said, this is should be the best version of the Houston offense we've seen all year, having both receivers out there and the switch to Woody Marks. And then on the Denver defensive side, again, without Surtain, it's not the same either. So typically alpha wide receiver ones, high 60s, low 70s, mid 70s, depending on the opponent and stuff like that. To open it at 60.5, I was just a little skeptical. I'm willing to be proven wrong, but I just thought it was a little too low. So I took a stab at the Collins over on receiving, but this is not a full-fledged, wholehearted endorsement of that.
Yeah, that number makes a lot of sense to me in terms of a play. I mean, you're right. For a lead receiver, and especially without Patrick Surtain in here, and I'm looking, still see 60.5 in the market. So I'm going to join you on that, and I think the listeners should too.
LA Chargers on the road at the Tennessee Titans. This is 9.5 in favor of the Chargers on the road at the worst team in the NFL. 43.5 is our total here in this one. Now, we talk a little bit of Survivor as we are, giving you guys our opinions on different things throughout the course of the show. This is going to be a popular play this week for sure, Noops, but my only caution here is you do have a couple of slam dunks in the Rams and the Packers, and this Chargers team plays Las Vegas in week 13. That is a kind of little bit of sneaky, tricky week 13 because, yes, New England plays the Giants that week as well, but odds are if you've made it this far, a lot of teams have used New England at this point. Like a lot of people have used the Patriots at this point, so I don't know how available they're going to be. So I don't know. I'm foregoing the Chargers this week with the one little entry I have left. But hey, you only need one to win the 18 million over in Circa, so I've only got one left, but. I'm going to save them, and I'm kind of eyeballing that Vegas Week 13 game, and that's kind of how I'm going to go about them. But again, that's just the Survivor angle to this one.
No, absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. I think that you have to save the Chargers. Again, when you look at where we are with Survivor, 75% of pools are wiped out at this point between what we had a couple weeks ago and last weekend. I know that last weekend all but two favorites won, but those two favorites were two of the most popular teams in Survivor. So I think you look at it, take the easy win, take the Packers, take the Rams. And again, week 13, that is a really, really scary week because, you've got the Chargers, some of the other teams here, you might have to think about playing, say, Miami. Yes, the Miami Dolphins that are playing, the New Orleans Saints there. You look, the Philadelphia Eagles, the other big favorite that week against Chicago. You probably already used them by then. So I think you definitely save the Chargers for that. As far as the game goes here, Again, another game kind of mired in injuries where you're looking at a Chargers team that has struggled on the road, that knows that they don't really have to give their full effort to win this game. I mean, the Titans just get worse and worse every single week. So if you're the Chargers, you just try to get through this week, get back home, play the Steelers the following week. And again, as you look at the injury report for them, Mekhi Becton, questionable. That's a huge, huge piece in guard there. Ladd McConkey, probably their best wide receiver, is questionable here. And you see Derwin James. Actually, it looks like he's okay to play. But you still have Tarheeb Steele is doubtful. Cam Hart is questionable. Just some really big injuries here. And it's hard to trust the Chargers again to come out and kind of give it their all. Yeah. So lean towards the Chargers. Think they can cover this game here. Was looking at maybe, a Titans team total under, but that number is really, really low. I think the best bet on the board would be under 43.5, but it's not good enough for me to make it.
Yeah, I missed out on, there were 10.5s available out there. I think I'd have held my nose and played the Titans at 10.5 for all the reasons you said about the Chargers on the road and all of that. But those got gobbled up pretty quick. People were quick on the gun on that one. And I think the line's kind of appropriate, right? I mean, like, I think this, of all the line, this will probably be a sweat, like, towards the end of the fourth quarter. Like, I actually think the line will come into play here in this one, whether Tennessee can score some sort of little garbage touchdown to cover or whatever. I kind of feel like that's where this one ends up. And I don't want to be sweating that. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass on that. Jacksonville and Las Vegas. This is 2.5 in favor of Jacksonville. 44 is our total. The big news coming through this morning, talking about all these push notifications I'm getting. Injury in practice yesterday, Travis Hunter to IR for the Jags. And so they came out of this bye saying that he was going to turn into their number one option. Brian Thomas has been very disappointing so far. He leads the league in drops. He leads the league in alligator arm tries to catch it. Like, he's like scared of getting hit these days and whatever. And so they said they were going to look at a whole bunch more wide receiver one looks for Travis Hunter, and that's going to be not going to be the case. So this was at 3 Noops a lot, and we've seen this fall off now to 2.5. People back in this Raiders team that has looked atrocious, but they do get back a full-strength Brock Bowers in this one. And we saw what Brock Bowers could do in week 1. He went for over 100 yards. He gets nicked up in game number 2, doesn't look the same for 3 weeks, and then they had to shut him down because obviously the thing that was going on with his knee was way more than he was making it out to be. I mean, he couldn't get separation. He's a matchup nightmare, and he was getting covered by linebackers and stuff or whatever, and that's just not Brock Bowers. So they say he's 100%. He's been a full go all week long in practice, so a big boost for them there for sure. But, man, outside of that, Geno Smith has been the stink.
At both of these teams, 2 weeks ago, they combined to lose 66-7, which is kind of impressive. Both coming off the bye here, and it's kind of funky because this is probably the easiest game the Jaguars have played all season. Week 1, they hosted Carolina. It was a tough game for Carolina, but I still rate the Panthers better than the Raiders. And Las Vegas, I know Brock Bowers is coming back, but okay, so what? What are we doing here? It's like putting a new set of wheels on a car with no engine. It's just, I don't understand it here. And it's a spot where I should probably bet the Jaguars. I've been staring at the Jaguars minus 2.5, but like you said, every time it goes to 3, somebody comes in and whacks the Raiders. So there are definitely some sharp guys here that like Las Vegas at home. Maybe you've got a younger Jaguars team, Maddie, that's maybe you've seen them out in some of the casinos over the last couple of days having a little bit more fun than they should have before heading into the Death Star. So this game just kind of perplexes me. I think there's a case to be made for Jaguars and Jaguars alts. I think if Jacksonville wins this game, it's pretty convincingly. So I want to see how everything shakes out from injury perspective, and then maybe look at it some like minus 6.5, minus 9.5 kind of stuff and play that small on Sunday just so I have something for the Jaguars. But if I really had balls, I'd probably have a Jaguars ticket already.
New Orleans Saints on the road at the LA Rams. This is 14.5 in favor of the Rams. 44 is the prevailing total, though 43.5s are available out there in the market as well. Rams coming out of a bye healthy. Havenstein back on the offensive line. Puka Nacua back out there catching passes for Matthew Stafford. And you get basically the best situation possible as the Saints make the trip across the country and are going to switch to a rookie quarterback making his first start. Noops, this was my plan all along, was to play the Rams this week. Whenever you go into Survivor and you do your little plotting and like you do your optimal pass and all of that, this was where the Rams fell for me. I'm not going to differentiate from the plan just because the situation got better for me. I mean, like, it's like, I'm going to go differently because the situation got better. It's like, no, man, I'm just going to stay with the course here, and I'm going to play the Rams with this. And, again, I think the line is appropriate. It's a rookie quarterback that they didn't feel comfortable enough to start and decided to go with Spencer Rattler until just the decision was right in front of their face that they at least had to see some sort of body of work from Shook. I mean, they drafted him. I mean, you can't just like leave him on the bench all year long for Spencer Rattler, who is not your future at quarterback. So I don't know. It all seems fairly appropriate to me. So I can't really get to a side here.
Yeah, Rams for me are the clear choice in Survivor, coming off the bye, getting everybody healthy here. But I'm not going to lay the points with them. It's kind of a funny schedule spot. The Rams play the 49ers and the Seahawks in the following weeks. And McVay is a great coach in terms of managing things like that. This seems like a Rams get a first half lead, and then it's Karen Williams, Blake Corum over and over and over again. A lot of running here. I would say if you're watching this game live and paying attention, if the Rams have a lead at the first half, I don't care what the second half total is, take the under. There's going to be very few possessions here. So it's really hard for me to trust Los Angeles to cover this number. Honestly, if Spencer Rattler were playing for the Saints, I would take the 14.5 that I'm seeing just about everywhere. But we don't know what's going on with Shook. His first game, that's just a really tough spot. So I have to kind of let this go. I was looking at a Saints team total under, but it's already at a hilariously low 13.5. That's just about the lowest number I've seen all season. I think under, again, is a solid bet, but I'm just going to wait, see how this game starts, and look for a second half angle where, again, if the Rams have a 10, 14-point lead coming into the second half, whatever the live total is, I'll play under.
Noops, I'm going to differentiate here from just the betting aspect and just go for if I could control the trade market right now. So if you're the Rams, you have a very limited window. Stafford has been flirting with retiring for the last couple of years, right? I mean, whether he retires this year or next year, we don't really know, but he's probably not going more than 2 years as it is. So your window is 2 years. It might just be this year.
Yeah.
There's no awesome team in the NFL right now.
No.
You've got 2 first-round picks. Do you call up the Cleveland Browns and say, you can have these picks, we want Myles Garrett, and you make the push for the Super Bowl this year again if you're the Rams? This is the trade I need to happen, because if you're the Browns, you kind of can't say no to that because you've already got 2 first-round picks. If you have 4 first-round picks, you basically control the whole NFL draft for the first day. And it's like, I mean, not that the Browns have a great track record of drafting, but still, it's got to seem pretty awesome to them if that were to be the scenario. And if you're the Rams, your first-round picks are going to be at the bottom. It doesn't mean anything to you. You're not getting an impact quarterback to replace Stafford there. You're not getting any of that stuff. And so, I don't know, man. Like my fantasy GM hat, I'm just like, dude, make this happen. You don't need the picks. Give the picks to the Browns. Take Myles Garrett. Go win the freaking Super Bowl again.
I like this. Now it pushed even further. Give me Myles Garrett, and I want Jerry Jeudy too. Let's just take every useful player we have, try to spruce it up, because I agree. If I was to bet on it, I think Matt Stafford retires at the end of the season. Wouldn't be overwhelmingly shocked if he played a second season, but you're right. The window is now. It's this year, and this is the week too, right? Because you've got the 49ers coming. You've got the Seahawks coming. If you could win both of those games, you take a stranglehold on the NFC West and become a pretty interesting dark horse to have the 1 seed in the NFC, a conference that is wide open. Again, you get to avoid all the best teams are in the AFC. You get to avoid all of them. I love this idea.
Just get it, Rams, for free. Listen, I don't even want anything in return. Just go make it happen. I'm not. I don't even want any tickets to any games. Nothing. No credit. Just as a fan, I think it'd be great. Yeah. All right. So normally I get pissed off whenever they only give us 3 afternoon games. But if one of the afternoon games is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, then hey, I'll take it. You know, that we're only getting the 3 afternoon games. It is Kansas City 1.5, 2 on the road over the Bills. 52.5 is our total. Another one of those totals beginning with a 5. You lose Ed Oliver if you're Buffalo. That said, outside of that, coming into this pretty healthy. On the Kansas City side of things, a couple of offensive linemen nicked up. We'll certainly be paying attention to the final injury report for them as it comes out later on Friday. Rasheed Rice been back 2 games, just been peppered with targets for this team. Looks like kind of the Chiefs of old, Noobs.
I was kind of torn with what you said at the beginning of the game here, that I was kind of pissed at first that this isn't Sunday Night Football, but you're right. This is the best game of the afternoon. I'm certainly not going to watch Jaguars, Raiders, or Saints, Rams. I'll have this on. We get a chance. I imagine this will be Romo and Jim Nantz on this game, which I love. That's one of the best announcing crews we have at this point. So I think this is going to be a great game. And just so many dynamics here. It's a team, they played each other once or twice pretty much for the last 3 or 4 seasons. The Bills have won pretty much every regular season game, while the Chiefs have won just about every game in the playoffs. So, just by that alone, the Bills should win this game. But they've been playing really poor football. Even finally getting a win last week after the bye week and the 2 losses looked a little bit better. But I don't think they're nearly on the same level as Kansas City has been for the last month, just kind of tearing through some of these teams and playing really good football. So I think this is going to be a great game, one that's really fun to watch. From a betting perspective, really have been staring at Chiefs -1.5 all week. I've been staring at kind of the under there as well, because it's 2 teams that do, like to run out clock, that know how to sort of grind things down. But at the same time, I mean, the Chiefs, they've got just about nobody left at running back at this point. Pacheco's beat up. Kareem Hunt is really only good for 3 or 4 yards running straight at the back of the line. And Brashard Smith is basically a receiver back there. So it could be a lot of throwing the ball. So all that said, should be a great game. We'll talk myself into the Chiefs in some capacity probably, but haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Yeah, it's like same with me. It's just both of these teams get after the quarterback, and I have almost come to the conclusion it's like whatever offensive line holds up better is probably how this game ends up. I mean, Buffalo gets pressure at the 3rd highest rate in the NFL. Now that was with Ed Oliver out there. We'll see how that works with him not out there for them. And then you got KC coming into this one as the 5th highest pressure rate in the NFL. So both of these teams inside the top 5 getting pressure on the quarterback. And so something's got to give, right? I mean, do they get home and make life miserable for either Mahomes or Allen, or do these offensive lines hold up and whatever? This one is, it's so cool. So great to see this game at this point in the season, but kind of under the radar because he's Mahomes and he just made it work, and they were completions and all that. You go back and watch the All 22 last week. He was running for his life on a lot of plays. Like, he was getting flushed from the pocket a ton in that game last week. And again, he was just doing Patrick Mahomes things, throwing freaking sideways and underhand and all kinds of whatever. And he made it work, but it's probably not like sustainable to be under pressure that much and still be able to gain yardage and whatnot. So I don't know. That's the only thing I think that's kept me off of the Chiefs. Like you, I've stared at that 1.5 and I've gone a couple different things. 1, why haven't I bet it? And 2, why has this not gotten closer to 3? And so I'm also that as well. So I'm like, maybe some people saw the same thing I did and are a little hesitant that maybe Mahomes won't quite have that success making all those circus throws that he did last week.
Yeah, and it's another game, too, where we talked about it earlier, that now in the day and age of teams going for 2, these are 2 teams that are not afraid to do that. Maybe the 2.5 is a little bit more valuable, because I have seen 2.5 a couple times, but it snaps right back to 1.5 right away. So, again, maybe we just need to nut up and bet the Chiefs here, but let's keep waiting and make sure everything's in place.
Sunday night football, the Seattle Seahawks on the road at the Washington Commanders. Of course, Sunday night football brought to you by our friends at Bet365. If you have not gotten a Bet365 account yet, what are you doing? If you live in one of those markets, good on you. I don't. I do not have access to 365. I have to go down to Arizona if I want to do that. And trust me, I've made the trip just to bet at 365 down to Arizona. An awesome menu, some bets that aren't available at other places as well. They've got cool different promotions throughout that you can go in, and they're always changing throughout the course of the season and trying to really establish a huge brand overseas, really establishing themselves over here in the States. So if you have not tried 365, and Noops, I know that you're kind of in the situation with me, it's a fantastic book if you have access to it.
Oh, it is. And, I just recently moved from Pennsylvania to New York. It's such a bummer missing my 365 account. And anytime I go back home to see family, that is where I end up placing a lot of my bets. The odds are great there. And again, I always talk about sports books as having a deli menu. Nobody has a bigger menu than 365. And it's great. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff to bet in this game. But Overall, this is a spot where, again, as an East Coast guy, I might not actually be awake come the start of the second half of this game. It's a spot where I love this for Seattle. The defense for the Seahawks has been incredible. The offense has been able to score points in bunches. Yes, Jaden Daniels is back, but in his first game, a little bit of rust here. I know the Seahawks have to make that really tough trip from Seattle all the way to Washington, but coming off a bye, I think that sort of wipes away some of those concerns there. So I had this game closer to 4.5. I'm happy to lay the 3 here. I think Seattle can kind of low-key throttle this Washington team that might be on its last legs.
Yeah, you do get Jaden Daniels under center if you're a Washington backer, but you lose Terry McLaurin, who re-injured that quad, so he's not going to be out there. And it's such a massive loss, Noops, because I know that, like, people go, yeah, but you got Debo's a gadget receiver. And listen, there's room for gadget receivers in the NFL. If he is out there with McLaurin, he makes McLaurin's job easier. Like Debo can run all those drags across the middle and do those little quick outs. Like, just getting the ball in his hands 4, 5, 6 yards down the field is kind of what you do with him. But Debo doesn't run wide receiver routes. Like, he doesn't run the routes that McLaurin runs, and he's not able to do the contested catch stuff and all the different stuff that some of these other guys do. And so when you remove him from the situation, it just makes this offense so much worse. It's not like the drop off where if you're in Cincinnati and it's like, oh, Jamar Chase has to miss, but T. Higgins would be a wide receiver 1 on half of the leagues out there, half of the teams in the league. And so you won't Chase out there, but like T. Higgins as a 1 is still fine. Debo can't be a 1. And so it just makes this offense so less dynamic.
Yeah, McLaurin, what he really does in the field, it's even beyond what he can do with his hands. It's the gravity. It's the way he pulls the defense with him down the field. There is so much more space for the Commanders' pass catchers to operate when he's on the field, and that's why they acquired Debo, because they had Terry McLaurin to take a safety with him, to pull the top of the defense off, to create space in the middle of the field for guys like Ertz and Debo Samuel to do their thing. Without McLaurin, I think you're just going to see the Seahawks impress pretty much this whole game, happy to just sort of flood the first 15, 20 yards with players and say, good luck getting over the top here, Washington. You don't have anybody else that can take the top off this defense. So that McLaurin injury, although, again, he's not the best receiver in the league, he might be one of the most impactful in terms of what an offense can do with and without him.
Yeah, I do wonder about Daniels being out there. I mean, I'm always curious as to, they kind of know, they have to know where they're at in the season as well. I mean, it's kind of a do or die situation for this Washington squad. Without McLaurin being out, does Daniels try to just kind of put this on his back? If you remember during that stretch last year, Noops, when this Washington team was playing so well, Jaden Daniels was running for like 80-something yards a game because he just was like, okay, there's nothing else I can do. Like, we have to win this game somehow. I'm just going to go do it, And like, so I almost wonder, even coming off of an injury and all of that, and then certainly, it's a deal where you're sitting here wondering if these guys are playing 100% because, sometimes they just want to come back and be in there. It's at 40.5 is the market low on the rush yards for Jaden Daniels. It's like, wouldn't surprise me if he gets close to doubling that if necessary, right? In this game, if they keep it close, and it's probably going to be because Jaden Daniels is taking over this game. I'm with you. I think it's Seattle. It's either a one-sided, lopsided Seattle win, or Jaden Daniels is doing that Superman shit that he was doing at the end of last season.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. If you in any way, shape, or form want to back the Commanders in what is a back against the wall kind of must-win game for them here, if they fall to 3-6, the season is effectively over. They've got to win this game, especially with the way their schedule goes. I would look at, again, some same-game parlays. I know it's easy to do for our friends at Bet365. Jaden Daniels to rush for a touchdown. Jaden Daniels, say, 50-plus rush yards. I mean, even sell up a little bit. And then, put that with Commanders +3. I think all of that is highly, highly correlated, and will get you some much nicer odds.
Yeah, unfortunately for us prop bettors that have been cashing in on this for the last few weeks, the books came in, they flipped us the bird, and they said, you're not stealing our money on Jackson Smith and Jigba anymore. We realize that he is a true alpha receiver, because I look at this secondary for Washington, which is absolutely atrocious. And I see Jackson Smith and Jigba, who has cooked everybody all season long. I was sitting there on Wednesday, Noops, rubbing my hands like this, going, you open this at 79.5. You better open. If you open this at 79.5, I am freaking pumping this like whatever. 95.5 out there in the market. It's as high as 97.5 out there in the market for Jackson Smith and Jigba. So they said the gravy train is over. No more bets on JSN this year for us, but hopefully the first half of the season you were able to wet your beak on all of that. The algorithms, the people behind the counters have caught up and realize, oh wow, this guy's freaking awesome, and we can't put these numbers like where we had been putting them, and so 95.5 is the market low.
Efficiency is inevitable, folks. That's why you have to play these a lot. I know we're talking NFL, but in NBA season, again, we're starting to see that, some of these player props, and that's what you got to do. Strike while the iron's hot, get in there early, because after a few weeks, they notice.
And they definitely did on JSN. So again, like I said, hopefully we wet our beaks along the way, but it seems like the gravy train is over there for that one. Guys, everything we do, absolutely free. If you've not done so already, hit that subscribe button down below. Of course, Noops has great work over at lineups.com, so go and check out his stuff over there too. And let us know in the comment section, what's your favorite play of the week? Do you disagree with us on any of this stuff? Is there anything that we missed? Go ahead and let us know in there as well. For Noops, I am Matt. Good luck on all your bets.
Bet $5, get $300 in bonus bets, win or lose, with Bet365 Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21 plus only. T&Cs apply. In-app only.